Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mike at Locking the Value. Right. The question today is on institutional investors and how much are they beginning to invest within the cryptocurrency market. Before we get into that, I, I would like to issue a retraction and, quite frankly, an apology to our viewers. So, recently we did a video about Dragon Chain. And we were, very enthused. And quite frankly, our research ended up being a bit subpar. We're participants in a lot of forums, and we discuss a lot of cryptos with numerous people. And there were a couple of comments that when we were discussing Dragon Chain with some other people. Shout out to Craig Anthony, who commented on the video actually saying that there is no relationship between Disney and Dragon Chain. I've got to say that's true. We've discovered this, and I want to issue a retraction, certainly on the video in itself, because Disney don't have a a relationship with Dragon Chain at all. It turns out that the relationship was severed. It is a former Disney employee that runs the company. I can only issue an apology. We are going to be commenting on our own video as well, just stating please disregard the video. And I'm very sorry that we didn't complete our due diligence properly. Wasn't good enough, and we'll endeavour to make sure that that isn't the case moving forward. Um, so. Um, Today we're looking at institutional investors and how big a role they're looking to play within the crypto market. Now, 2019 was a big year, essentially for creating the uh, the infrastructure, getting the infrastructure in place for institutional investors. So a lot of people in this space will know about Backed, and as well as that, Fidelity Digital Assets were fairly big. Had both of those had particularly big roles in terms of the infrastructure that's been put in place for institutional investors. Now, there is a lot to get through here, so I'm going to do it as quickly, well, as efficiently as possible, but I don't want to rush too much. Right, we've got sort of three major articles that I wanted to show you, or three, not major, but they're three articles that certainly indicate a growing trend. Um, so, firstly, we're going to start here on the rise of institutional investment. So, um, from this article, we can see on November 8th, which is 2019, by the way, backed Bitcoin futures contracts hit a new daily record of 1,756 events. And then again on November 22nd with 2,468 future contracts traded. Backed volume bot on December 3rd showed the traded contracts, which was 2,328, a total value of 17 million. By the way, this is the daily summary. Sorry, didn't mean to click on that. All-time high is ended up being 5,671 for one day. And what this shows is a growing trend of daily traded contracts on Bitcoin futures. Now, Bitcoin futures is a massive section for institutional investors. Obviously, there are still others and individual investors that are using it, but it's a very large statement with regards to backed setup for institutional investing, because the futures is where that market is. The second thing that I wanted to sort of show you as well. Now, Grayscale, where's the information on Grayscale? So this isn't the information I wanted. Grayscale have recently invested $500 million into two of their flagship funds. The first is Bitcoin Trust, and the second is Ethereum Trust. Now, Bitcoin is the one. It seems to be the attraction to institutional investors, um, far more than anything else. So it does ponder a question about what it seems to be that based on institutional investing, Bitcoin's going to receive the biggest push and growth compared to altcoins. Um, and there are a number of major institutions that have been putting money into the cryptocurrency market. So we sort of wanted to take a look at this. Now, by the way, CoinDesk did a pretty decent article reviewing sort of 2019 and how institutions are sort of moving forward. So number one, there's Bitcoin and there's everything else, which is basically what I was saying. Like Bitcoin's the thing that everyone's investing in. If they're investing within the crypto market, that is. Um, Despite slow conversion, substantial progress was made on growing institutional investor interest. So um, that comes towards sort of the allowing them to be capable of it. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and their Ethereum Trust were big purchases recently. Um, the launch of Backed, the launch of Galaxy's Digital, two new Bitcoin funds, Fidelity's Bitcoin product rollout, TD, I can never read this, Ameritrade's Bitcoin trading service on Nasdaq via brokerage platform, and Stone Ridge's asset management recent SEC approval for its New York DIG Bitcoin strategy fund based on cash settled Bitcoin futures. Now, those those developments over the course of 2019 suggest that bigger institutions are beginning to look at this. Um, and there's a number of additional points, but there was one that I wanted to show. Um, and that was here. So money or not, software-powered collateral economies are here. So this is particularly important, I think. Another trend we observed this year is a large migration away from cryptocurrencies in an ideological currency sense and towards digital assets for financial application and economic utility. So what that's referring to is utilizing cryptocurrency in within the application setting. So we did a video on Icon yesterday where we were saying that ICX is the token that's used to fund transactions within the Icon network. And that's what they're referring to here. So digital assets for economic and finance application and financial application. Um, so, and yeah, we all like cryptocurrencies as a possible money payment. I'm a big fan of Nano. I always have been. I love Nano. And that makes sense to me as just a simple token, as a purpose. But because platforms and blockchains are now so much bigger, and the dApps that are being developed, and make no mistake, Ethereum is the biggest on the planet by a long way. But it does seem like Ethereum, by the way, is overpriced within the price of transactions on their network. But the trend that is being seen is that economic utility is more important. So that's worth bearing in mind when you're looking at the purchases you're going to make. Now, CoinDesk predicts 2020 is going to be very positive, but not necessarily based on price. They're looking at essentially adoption and development. It's not just price action. They're saying that the price action could stay very steady. Um, so, but it's set to be an interesting year. Now, obviously, we couldn't anticipate the coronavirus outbreak to this degree. Um, so that's going to have a different, that may have a significant impact on how 2020 goes in terms of cryptocurrencies. Now, the last one that I wanted to show you, like I say, there were three articles. So this one is on Cointelegraph. Now, Cointelegraph I quite like, but they talked about essentially the 10 institutional actors within cryptocurrency, the big ones. Now, Libra Association, obviously, this is based around Facebook. I friggin' hate Facebook as a concept generally. I don't like Facebook. I certainly don't like the idea of Libra. Facebook doubling down on a cryptocurrency like Libra. I don't like the idea. I can totally see why some people do. We'll see what happens with that. I am going to gloss over it because I don't really want to get into it. JP Morgan Chase are looking to create a stable coin. JP Morgan, major investment bank. Yeah. Um, Now, if they create a stable coin, the goal is to use that between banks, clients, and the blockchain platform. Now, the idea is that the stable coin is going to be one-to-one in terms of US dollar. Uh, we'll see about that. But the fact that JP Morgan, who have constantly, and their CEO relentlessly referred to cryptocurrencies as frauds or not real currency. The fact that they're jumping in on it now seems that they've changed their mind on the value within it. Backed, we've already talked about Backed. Yeah. Backed in a new institution-sized exchange company joined the crypto world in September 2018 when Intercontinental Exchange, which also owns New York Stock Exchange, launched Backed. Now, that impacts the fact that they own the New York Stock Exchange does imply that that they might have influence with regards to what ends up being on exchange traded funds. Maybe we're going to start seeing Bitcoin roll out. There's been a hell of a lot of slowdown on all of that, but that's a big movement there. The fact they've gone full and all in on crypto by creating their own exchange. And its futures as well. So the US Commodities Futures Trading Commission we have discussed to some degree. Fidelity Investments. Now, I did briefly say, but Fidelity Investments is a mutual fund colossus. Yeah, 7.2 trillion under administration. Stepped up with the full rollout of Fidelity Digital Assets Custody Unit. 4 years in the making, which targets institutional investors like hedge funds, family offices, and market intermediaries. They want to get these people involved in cryptocurrency. Huge statement. Again, big statement. The firm's carefully charted deployment route was marked by a series of milestones. Initial research. They've done a ton, right? In mid-December 2019, they announced that it may add support for Ether in 2020 if there's sufficient demand for it, which there should be. But to be fair, Ether needs to sort out the cost of using the services because it's still too high. And just effectively I'm running out of time here. There's more. Harvard University, the richest university in the world. I've invested into crypto, only about 20 million or something. Not even 20, 12 million. But it's a step forward. Now, none of this necessarily says cryptocurrency is going to be a huge push from institutions, but small steps in the right direction indicate that at some point floodgates do open. So do you get in before then is the question. I think institutions that we're always going to invest, hopefully that will happen in the next year or two. I hope you like this. Take care and stay safe.